Hello and welcome to a brand new style of video on the channel. It's a little bit different. It's going to be an 8-video mini-series of me predicting how every NFL division will finish, AFC and NFC. And we might do the playoffs. If this video gets enough traction, we'll go on and do the playoffs if this series does well. But today we start off with the NFC North. We'll then do the AFC North, NFC East, AFC East, and down and down and down like that. But today it's the NFC North, the Vikings, the Packers, the Bears, and the Lions. So without further ado, let's start the video. But just really quickly first, this is a personal opinion of mine. It doesn't mean it's right. Your opinion probably is better than mine. You probably know more than I do about the subject and about the teams and so on and so forth. But this is just a little bit of my opinion on what I think is going to happen with the teams this season. But let's get into it. So jumping straight into it, the team I believe will be bottom of the NFC North, unfortunately for you Bears fans, is Chicago. I really have you struggling this season. Just down to Foles, Trubisky, lack of talent. A couple of good players on the defense, a couple of very good players on the defense, of course, with Khalil Mack always making a difference. But the quarterback position is such a problem. But I just think that it's going to be a problem for the season. So I've got the Bears being clipped by the Lions week 1. Matt Stafford, just think they're a slightly better run organisation at the moment. The Giants, I think they're going to be much improved with Saquon and Daniel Jones, although he's a little bit of the unknown right now. I think he improves and we see that he is a viable low-rank starter in this division this year. Matt Ryan, Falcons, I think that's relatively self-explanatory. Julio Jones, I think that just all explains itself, to be honest with you. The Colts, I think the linebacking core and the O-line for the Colts is up there with the best in the league. So I think the Colts go on and win that one. Tampa Bay, well, we've seen the weapons and the people that Tampa Bay have on their team. I think they just outscore a lot of teams this year, personally. The Panthers, I just think the Bears are they're not going to be on the field enough to be able to limit that Panthers run game and limit McCaffrey. So I think I have the Panthers there for the reason they can just keep running it, screens, all these little other things that they can do to just wear down defenses. They're going to be able to do because the Bears' offense isn't going to be on the field anywhere near as long as it needs to be. The Rams, I think are going to be up and down this year, but I have them winning this one in LA. I just think the Bears are. They're going to struggle. I don't know how many times I need to say it. They're going to struggle this year, unfortunately. I have the Rams winning that one, probably simply for that reason. I think the Rams are probably in the best division in football, most competitive division. Most teams vying for a playoff spot. So I have them there winning that one, although I believe the Rams will be lower in their division than you might think. The Saints, easy one. They're going to battle for the top of their division with the Bucks. The Titans, I think they just run over the Bears, similarly to how the Panthers are going to run over them, but with a power back instead of an elusive back like McCaffrey. The Vikings, divisional. I think Kirk Cousins just goes there. Adam Thielen just tears them apart. The Packers, Lambeau Field. Rodgers, chip on his shoulder. Easy, even off a bye week. They then pick up a win against the Lions, their first win coming in week 13. I think that's just one of those. It's going to be a tank bowl. Neither team really wants to win, but the Bears come away with it just so they have a bit of face to save at the end of the season. The Texans, who I think are going to be a bit more of a mess this year with Bill O'Brien all over the place. I don't know what he's doing with that team at the moment, but I think they do win that one, although I believe they struggle a little bit more this year. The Vikings, another easy win for the Vikings near the end of the season. The Bears pick up their second win week 16 against Jacksonville, who I believe, bar Joe Schobert, who they picked up from my Browns, I don't believe they picked up much talent, and I think it's going to be one of those things with a second-year quarterback in Minshew, where it gets found out a little bit. It's going to be more of a struggle. Those easy reads that were on first year aren't on anymore. It's going to be trying to pick apart defenses a lot more, which probably just isn't going to work the same. I think they're going to struggle this year, as well as the Bears and the Lions. And then the Packers week 17 to cement themselves in the division with what will be a dominant performance, which we'll see in just a second. So the Lions, I've got the Lions again, 2-14. Think they're going to massively struggle. It's only head-to-head that keeps them off the bottom of the division, I believe. I can't remember who I've got them actually beating, but we're going to find out right. Boom! Now. So they beat the Bears on the opener, which I think is going to be when people still believe that the Lions have a tiny slither of, hang on, this is the Lions, but then they lose to the Packers, they lose to Kyler Murray's Arizona with their new look offense, they lose to the Saints, they have a lovely week off in the bye, and everyone thinks, okay, we got the bye week, we're 1-3, we can come back, we've got the Jacksonville Jaguars, and they lose to the Jacksonville Jaguars. The reason I think Jacksonville win this is because the Lions are rested, they're coming off a bye week, they have lost a few, and they think, right, this is the game we get back on track. A team that is going to struggle this year, Jacksonville, we're going to win this one. They overhype it and they lose it, and it backfires massively. I think that can happen. It was kind of similar to the Browns against the Bengals last year at the end of the season, where everyone's like, okay, the Browns are going to win this one. Everyone said it, and then the Browns lost it. I know it was at the end of the season, but I think at that point, week 6, the Lions realise, okay, we're going to be tanking the season away now. Getting a high pick, and potentially the end of Matt Stafford, maybe. Depending on what that big cap penalty is for losing him, but maybe, could happen. Falcons, Matt Ryan, easy one for me there. I think they pick up a surprise win against a rested Colts side after a bye. I don't know why, I just have a weird feeling that it's a Colts thing to do, to just drop a game against someone like Detroit. And then the Vikings come along and smash the Lions. They then lose to the Redskins, who I also have struggling this year. The Panthers, it's another game where the Panthers can really utilise McCaffrey against the defence like Detroit, and they'll run all over them. The Texans get their act figured out by week 12, and they're going to be improving as the season goes on, I think, with under Bill O'Brien, even without DeAndre Hopkins. I think they improve as the year goes on, and they win this one. The Lions then lose to the Bears late on. I think the Bears trying to save face a little bit on what is going to be a rough season for them. The Packers, just easy win against the Lions. The Titans run them over, just like the Bears. They run over the Bears, they run over the Lions. The Buccaneers, again, I think Brady will be chasing all sorts, division titles, MVP, passing yards, touchdowns. I think they're going to be going big time this year, big time, just for everything they can possibly get. I honestly believe that they've constructed a team. Godwin, the tight end whose name just completely evades me, and Gronk, OJ Howard, Mike Evans. Their run game's a little bit iffy, but then Brady in there, throwing it to people like that, who he hasn't really thrown to in years now. They haven't had great receivers in New England. I think he has a lot of fun there, and they're chasing a lot late on in the season. And the Vikings at the end, still pushing for a playoff place, but I think they just fall away, and we'll see if they make it. So the Minnesota Vikings, I have them 9-7, which isn't quite enough to make the playoffs in the NFC this year. I think the NFC is going to be stronger than the AFC, although the top teams in the AFC are going to do a little bit better. The Baltimores, the Kansas City Chiefs. I think they're going to be the big boys of the NFL. But I think as a whole, the NFC is stronger than the AFC, bar a couple of teams in the AFC. But I have the Vikings 9-7, just missing out on the playoffs. This would get you the playoffs in the AFC, by the way, this season, in my opinion. I think 8-8 with the 7-team playoffs in the AFC will get you there this season. But the Vikings miss out, 9th seed. This would have put them this season with this bunch of results. So a defeat to the Packers, Aaron Rodgers seething at the Jordan Love situation, going out, proving a point. I'm Aaron Rodgers, look at me. Think they win that one early. The Vikings come back, beat the Colts, prove a point in Indy. They beat the Titans only because this is in Minnesota. I think if that was in Tennessee, I'd have the Titans winning that one. Surprise defeat then to the Texans. I'm not really sure. I think that'll be a close one. For some reason, I've just got it in my head that is going to be a close game. I'm not quite sure why I think that, but I've just got something in my head that's telling me it's going to be a close game. The Seahawks then win, which leaves the Vikings in a precarious position after they lose to Matt Ryan's Falcons. They then only sit with 2-4 after 6 weeks into the bye week. They then go 2-5 after losing to the Packers in Lambeau. I don't think they win that one at Lambeau Field. And then the run begins. They play the Lions, an easy win. The Bears, an easy win. Then the Cowboys, who I believe at this point in the season start to do a very Cowboys-like thing and just nose-diving their season, which they seem to enjoy doing every single year. Then the Panthers, they beat the Panthers, too strong. The Panthers can't just run over this Vikings team. The Vikings can actually keep the ball on offense for a relatively good amount of time compared to someone like the Bears. The Vikings then beat the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think they're resigned to the tank. And the Vikings are still chasing a playoff berth until they play the Bucks, and it comes crashing down a little bit there. I think Tampa Bay win that one before they beat the Bears, and then it comes to a real crunch match. Vikings Saints come away with that one before they beat the Lions on final day, hoping that other teams slip up, which unfortunately doesn't happen, which leaves them 9-7, 9th seed, 2 games off, which would have been head-to-head games and stuff. I think 10-6 makes the playoffs in the NFC at the moment for me on this one, but I'm not 100% sure. I don't want to ruin it. But the Green Bay Packers up next. Right, so Green Bay, I think they do very well. I think 12-4. I instantly think Rodgers is that sort of competitor that sees a Jordan Love and sees the adversity of the franchise. They're not drafting in first round talent, all of this stuff, and he just overcomes it because he is one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. He's up there in that conversation. Very, very talented player. Elevates other players on the day. Elevates everyone on the team. Defense is quite good. Makes other talent around him look good, which is what they haven't needed to draft first round players. They've got other players in there as well that they're very happy with. I think Aaron Rodgers actually campaigned for Lazard, a free agent receiver, to come back and be able to play more because he liked him so much, who was quite a hot prospect. They've got other great players on the offense as well. So I think they do well, and I think Aaron Rodgers, just by himself, not going to throw many picks. So I think under 5 max, 35 touchdowns, 5 picks, or something around those lines. I think he has a very good season, and this is how I think it goes for them. I think they beat the Vikings, as we've seen. Beat the Lions, as we've seen. Lose to the Saints. I think the Saints are going to have a really, really weird season with the Buccaneers this year. Real kiss chase kind of season. They're both just going to try and outplay each other, outscore each other every week. It's going to be mad. Drew Brees, Tom Brady, it's just going to be nuts. I think that's what's going to happen there. Matt Ryan's Falcons, I have to calm down there. Matt Ryan's Falcons, they beat them. Bye week, they lose to the Bucks, and I think they just have a bit of a hangover from that and lose to the Texans. I don't know why. We've seen the Texans do quite well out of this video. I don't really know why, but I just think they have a little bit of a hangover, lose to the Buccaneers, feel sorry for themselves, and they drop 2, and they're like, oh my god, what are we doing? And then the light bulb moment hits. They beat the Vikings, they beat the Niners, they thump Jacksonville. I think that one could be nasty, week 10. I think that could be a blowout. They beat the Colts, they thump the Bears as well. The Eagles nick one off them, because I think the Eagles are going to be fighting for the top of their division. They then beat the Lions, beat the Panthers easily, because I think they can stop that McCaffrey run game, and they can also stop the Derrick Henry run game. I think they win both of those. And then they beat the Chicago Bears in the final day, which sets them up a playoff date with the Seattle Seahawks, which, there you go, there's a little spoiler for you. I think the Seahawks make the playoffs, which I think it's quite obvious actually that the Seahawks would be in the playoffs. But they set that game up, so neither one of those two sides are going to be the number 1 seed. 12-4 I don't think is quite enough to get you the number 1 seed. I think you're going to need to be 14-2, 13-3. Who gets that in the NFC? That's for another video. If you did enjoy this one, please do give it a thumbs up, like it, subscribe, dislike it, hate mail me, just do something. All publicity is good publicity, as they say, and I'll catch you for the next one.